Welcome, everybody, to Aren't You Tired Of podcast. Today, we're going to tackle one of our top 5 fears.
Yeah.
And that is speaking to others, speaking in public.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's a name, glossophobia.
Oh, I didn't know
Did you
that.
even know that?
I didn't know
I
that.
think that's right. That's what I was told. What
is it? Glossophobia?
Glossophobia. Who knows? It's right up there with snakes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Spiders?
fear of heights.
Fear of heights?
Spiders. I mean, all of that.
What about claustrophobia?
Claustrophobia.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, it's got a
That's
phobia.
one of them. But this
Yes.
is glossophobia.
Scares people a lot.
Speaking.
A lot.
In
Speaking
public.
in
Okay.
public. And so today, we want to give you some tips and suggestions how to make it simpler. Mark and I have been through this. We want to give you some of our lessons learned, what's really worked and helped us. So we're going to talk about that today. Welcome to the Aren't You Tired Of podcast, as I said, where we talk about all the things that we're tired of. List keeps growing and growing.
It's getting long.
It's getting longer, but most importantly, what to do about it.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
what we're focused on. And I'm Patti Johnson with my co-host, Mark.
Mark Benton, I'm here. Hello.
Yes. Hello, everybody. And we're so glad you're going to hang out with us today. So what are we going to do? How are we going to go at this, Mark?
Well, this is one of the biggest causes of anxiety for people, like you said. And it doesn't matter if it's in a work setting or if it's, speaking at, the parent-teacher organization or some, committee group that you're a part of, or if, you're a student or doesn't matter what age, you're just a student and you have to give a presentation in front of class. We spend a lot of time and energy on helping people learn how to not be anxious and to really be effective as a speaker.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that I was always completely comfortable speaking in public, but I've learned through just, naturally getting over, a couple of things and getting there and just doing it. But also through repetition, I feel like, I've gotten a little bit better at it. I still get nervous, but I don't know. How about you?
Same. I used to get really nervous. I have learned some habits that help me a lot and that make me calmer. And so that's really what we want to share with you guys today, sort of our, tips and tricks that have helped make speaking just something we're more comfortable with, but we both still get a little bit nervous. There's nothing wrong with that.
Still.
Nothing wrong with that.
And we can talk more about it as we get into this. But before we do, in this episode, we've got a little quizzy quiz.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you ready?
We love quizzes.
So we love a good quiz. And so if any of these feel familiar to you, you might need some tips on speaking in public. So I'll start out here. Do you have a hard time sleeping the night before because you are so anxious and nervous?
Number 2, do you spend more time worrying about how you'll be received than on your actual message?
Are you filled with self-doubt and second-guessing yourself before you even start?
Number 4, do you find yourself rushing just to get the presentation over with so you will feel some relief?
Yes. Number 5, do you use lots of filler words to avoid any pauses, the dreaded pause?
Number 6, do you have to rely so much on your notes that you hardly ever look up to the people listening to you?
Yeah. Number 7 here. During the presentation, is your mind wandering and you're thinking, oh, I hope they like me. I hope they really like me.
Yes. Number 8, do you ever avoid speaking to a group because it makes you nervous, even if you know it would help you and your cause? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good quiz. If you answered yes to at least half of those, there's a pretty good chance that speaking to others when there's more than a couple gathered makes you nervous.
Makes you nervous.
So Mark and I have identified our favorite tips and tricks, and we're going to walk you through them. We kind of go through, it starts with mindset, prep, and then actually when you're giving the presentation.
When you're in the moment.
All those 3 matter. And I'll start off, and Mark and I will just talk our way through it. The one thing I think, and this has helped me, I think, stop trying to be someone else.
Yeah.
Yes. Be who you are. If you're funny, be funny. Yeah. If you are someone who likes to go in and you're informal, be that way. Be who you are. And there is not one right way to be a great speaker. Yeah. You can go out and look at YouTube, at TEDx, all these. There's a million examples, and you're like, that person's so interesting. And every single time it's somebody different, and they all are bringing themselves.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know about you, Mark, but I have seen so many interesting people. We're talking, you're fun, you're interesting.
Yeah.
They go stand up in front of a room. Whoosh,
Yeah.
they put on a speaker disguise.
Yeah.
And you're like, is that the same person?
Well,
you know?
it's important. I agree. And I've seen that happen. And it's a little surprising. But what that really is it's a mind barrier.
It is.
It's all of a sudden, you're just still talking. It's just now what has changed. Well, maybe you're on stage. You have a mic. There's more people.
There's more people
out there, and that makes you more nervous. That's natural. That's okay. But the point is kind of know what you're saying. Is know your strengths, and then just accentuate those. Be you. Yeah.
Be you.
I agree.
That is a big one, because if you are thinking of it as a performance, it's gonna be a problem. I want to mention a second thing in terms of mindset. For me, this was my biggest unlock.
Yeah.
And that is to go from looking for approval. Don't look for approval. Focus on contributing.
Oh,
and what I mean by that is, if you go in and you're talking to a group, and as you gave in your quiz example, if the whole time you're thinking, I hope I'm good enough. I hope this is going to be good. Do they like what I'm saying? Are they getting it? If that is all what's going in your mind, then it is clogged. You cannot possibly think about how am I contributing to this group? And so for me, my unlock was, don't let your mind go there. Instead, think about, I hope I can bring something interesting to this group. Or if I'm speaking to a bigger group, I hope a couple of people walk away with something. I hope it gives them some idea, encouragement to try something that they wouldn't have otherwise. And I think if you keep your mind on, how can I have an impact here? How can I contribute? And not, I hope they like me and I hope they approve of me. It'll make all the difference. For me, that was the biggest mental unlock.
I think that's a great unlock, because also you have to flip that, or I would flip that, because I've had that same thought, second guessing and fear. But somebody asked me to do the talk. So I must be bringing something. I've done something. There's something I'm bringing to this conversation that they asked me to do this. Now, that can bring other stress and anxiety, but I'm the one that's here. So whether they approve of me or not, I'm the one that got asked to do it.
Exactly. I'm here to contribute. I'm not here looking for everybody to think I'm great and get your approval. If you go in with that mindset, to me, it just made all the difference.
Now, I think I want to make sure we anchor back to and frame. I was just thinking when you were saying that, this is if it makes you anxious, right? If the presentation, the public presentation, the speaking or whatever, if it makes you anxious, there's some people out there that you could give them the phone book and they will be up on stage and they will educate you on whatever. And I just used a reference that some people may not know.
Like, what's a phone book,
What's
Mark?
a phone book?
Yeah.
Anyway, but what we're talking about is, this may help you if you're comfortable and you just want to, get some tips on how to get better. But this is really for that person that, like, I have to do this, or I've been asked to do this, or I want to do this better. Right. So we talked about the mindset. Now let's talk a little bit about the prep, because this is where I found several unlocks for myself. And I think whatever you're asked to talk about, and no matter how long you're asked to talk, I've been asked sometimes TED Talk style, you have 15 minutes, and then sometimes it's been 2 hours, right? And in either situation, the clear message that matters to the listener is what's so important. Instead of worrying about my slides or all of that, I sit down now and I start and I think, okay. And I had a great speaking coach one time that gave me a great framework. What do I want these listeners to know, believe, and then do? So as I'm prepping, that's how I'm framing up whatever it is. And that's how I start. So I used to sit down and I might, on my laptop start creating, or, if I'm handwriting it now, with Copilot and other AI tools, I just start, that way. But what do I want them to know, believe, and do? And then I begin to create basically my outline, and that's how I start. And I prep and I just make sure that I'm really spending the right amount of time to understand the intent and what I want from them.
Mm-hmm.
What I want from them to really take away. And then the other thing is know your content cold. Now I used to think I had to memorize.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I need to know this whole entire speech, from front to back to front, so that I can do that. But now when I started with that framing of, know, believe, and then do, that's what I want. Then I just start telling the story. I just start talking. And I'll sometimes, even if it makes sense, I'll start saying, this is what, here's what I'm here to talk about. And here's the topic. And here's some background. This is what I want you to know. And then I'll start.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you know that, then I want you to believe X, Y, and Z. Now let's talk about what we do about it. Yes. Right. And I'll even say, sometimes that's the way you and I talk about prepping for our episodes. What do we want our listeners to know, believe, and do? And so, having a clear message and then knowing that content cold so that you can just kind of not worry about the other things is really key.
Right. I think it's one thing I love that you're starting there. You're starting there with your message.
Yeah.
I would say one of the most common things that I coach leaders on, how many times, let me show you my slides. Yeah. Start with the slides. Yeah. And I think because there's such a slide, a deck mentality in business today, that's often the starting point.
Yeah.
Instead of what you're sitting down, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to worry about materials, anything yet. I'm going to start with what's my message. If you do that, then do I even need slides? I might not.
I mean, I would be happy and refreshed if I didn't also have to reference some slides. Or how about you're talking about something that might be a pretty dense topic and like you just have a nice picture of a mountain behind you. I mean, like what? That'd be great.
Exactly. I've always thought I use slides for one of two reasons. One, if I needed it was more detail than I could possibly cover verbally, and they needed to understand. You can't do too much detail in a presentation. Or that's secondly, as a little prompter to me, I see the mountain. I know after the mountain, I'm going down the river. Whatever it is, I know what's coming next. Right. It's just a mental prompt. But I love that you're starting with, what do I want them to believe and understand? That's the message, the core.
And if you have that anxiety, right, about the speaking and, okay, I know I need to do this and now I need to do this. If you start that way, and just knowing what you want to say and being intentional about that, that really will help.
It helps a ton.
Yeah.
And I think, just to piggyback on that, about knowing your content well, for me, practice the heck out of the thing. And for me, people will say, oh, you're such a relaxed, conversational presenter. Guess what? I've been practicing it. Yeah. Not practicing it because I'm practicing, I'm not memorizing. Yeah. But if you practice what you want to say, then you can think on your feet.
That's right.
You can be comfortable talking because I know this stuff.
I know it.
And I think that is, for me, the number one thing. And I have with my clients, I will say, use video. Video yourself. Have someone, set an iPad up at the back of the room. Have your friend, It is the number one thing. Because somebody can say, Mark, I think you ought to da-da-da-da-da. Not like watching yourself. I will say for me, one of my biggest learnings, I hate podiums. Don't put me, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do
it. Either.
So consequently, I'm kind of a roamer. So a few years ago, watched myself and I was like, oh my gosh, stop it. I was traveling. I was traveling and moving and roaming too much. And so I did that, and now I don't do that again. So I know I can move. I like to walk a little, but I need to stay in a space. Likewise, one of the people I coached recently, she used filler words a lot, more than she realized. And so we could talk about it, but when you watch on video and you hear a lot of it, and kind of like, and something people do all the time now, right? At the end of a statement, right?
I do the right thing a lot. Like,
right?
Right?
Right? Right? And then all of a sudden you're saying it after every sentence or paragraph. It becomes like, I'm not listening to you anymore. I'm counting how many times you say right.
Yeah, I'm distracted.
And so when you watch yourself on video, then all of a sudden you can realize, I got some little habits that are going to get in my way. Yeah. So I do think that is super important. Practice a lot so you're so comfortable. That content you need to know cold, practice is a way, I think, to internalize it.
I really like that. And one thing I just thought about is you were talking, and it kind of goes into, kind of how you manage your time.
Yes.
If I'm like, for instance, I'm supposed to give a 15-minute talk, right? Impactful, want it to be TED Talk like. Then actually I plan, and this is going to sound crazy, but I plan for 8 minutes of content. Now I'm using a small amount of time, but that's what I'll do. I'll just plan for 8 minutes, of conversation and remarks, so that if I end up going long, if somewhere in the middle of it, like I go blank, right? We'll talk about this in a little bit, but you can handle that. And it's not like, well, I planned a bigger meal than people actually want to eat.
That's so important. That's so important. And one of the ways you can really run off the rails, because back to your purpose, if you're like, I want to accomplish these things, but oh, by the way, I've only covered a third of what I was supposed to cover. The group doesn't understand now. They haven't bought in.
Right.
And so, but my time's up. I think that's super important. And I think the other thing too, Mark, on management of time.
Yeah.
Now it depends on who you are. But for me, before a big presentation, I do not want to be in 3 meetings beforehand, running in, sweating, because coming in hot. I need a little bit of just regroup time.
I will say this. This is so interesting, because we talked about the mindset, and then we talked about the prep. And I think you brought up a great point. Like, don't come in hot for a presentation if you can avoid it. I really, if you're asking me to speak and I'm supposed to, what time do I go on? If nothing changes in the schedule, you're on at 10. Okay. I'm going to be there at 9:15. And I'm going to look at the environment. Okay, we got this going on. We got this going on. Oh, more people here, less people here. Oh, they said that there was going to be this, but they got me behind a podium, right? Or whatever it is. So you can get a lay of the land and plan your strategy. It's so important if that's the kind of physical environment you're in. If you're presenting like most of us do now virtually, so you're somewhere and everybody else is somewhere else, it can also create different dynamics, because a lot of times, if you're presenting and you have your slides and all that kind of stuff, you're trying to manage all those dynamics. So allow yourself time. Don't come in hot.
No.
And just give your time, as I heard the term, the woo-saw, just allow yourself to kind of get in there and get yourself prepared. I like to sometimes, if I'm there early, can I speak to the AV crew, please?
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
One bunny trail.
Yeah.
The most
we love
horror
a good bunny
stories
trail.
I've ever witnessed.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had a really bad experience.
Yeah.
The AV doesn't work.
Yeah.
The thing isn't
Talk
hooked
about throwing
up.
you off your game.
And I have seen, and it's happened recently, a leader she had a video, wasn't working.
Yeah.
Frazzled.
Yeah.
Frazzled. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Don't assume it's all set up.
Yeah.
It's good. I need to see it.
Yeah.
I need to see it.
I've learned something in what you're saying. I've watched like C-suite leaders that sometimes they'll come in, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before, and then what they'll do is, they can just walk right up on stage. And I was like, wow, that's great that they can do that this individual can just run up on stage. Well, what I now realize is many of them, I came down this morning.
Somebody, yes.
And they have a little bit of help. And so when Patti comes in to speak, here's her video. She's going to have some slides. Doesn't do a handheld, wants a lapel.
Yeah.
Right? Now, tell me, is she going to click or are you going to click? So all of these things may sound like, if you're a speaking pro or do it all the time, you're like, no duh. But for someone that this is anxiety provoking for them, we're telling you, these are all the things you should be thinking about. So you're not worried about that. All you got to do is talk.
And I love that you brought up, check out the room. And it doesn't have to be, that for me is anxiety just goes way down. Now, if it's a big presentation and I come in the night before, I'm going to go see the room the night before.
That's right.
Even if it's not completely set up.
That's right.
The morning of, is it set up? Now, even if you're speaking at a small group, it doesn't have to be some big, massive presentation.
Right.
Like, are we sitting around a table?
Yeah.
What's going on?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? And I think that is because it helps kind of like what brings anxiety is lack of certainty.
Yeah.
And the more you can take away the question marks,
Yeah.
the more, the speaking seems a lot
All
easier
I got to do
now.
is come in and talk.
Come in and talk.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we're talking about, kind of prepping. So if we kind of get into the actual presentation itself, so now you're doing the thing, right? I think one of the things also that can come across that is a fail for speakers is when you're not in the right mental or physical space, physical presence and that confidence. So, how you stand, how you bring yourself to even get there to have the energy, because many of us have listened to presenters. They may know their information cold. It may be structured well, but the energy is very flat, and they're talking just like this, and they've got their arms crossed, and they're not really moving. And that can also come across as the nerves. That might just be who you are. But if you feel like you could be a dynamic speaker and you feel like I can really crush this, right? Then if you do all these other things to get prepped, you need to make sure that now you're in a good mental space. And one of the things I do, I'm interested in your process, is I think about my brand. There's two things I do, but my brand. I want to come across as confident. I want to come across as knowledgeable. I want to come across as fun, right? And then that's also in my mental as I, think about the know, believe, do. How about you? How do you prepare mentally?
Well, we've talked about some of the things, but I want to ask you a question, because when we were prepping for this, you talked about the physical confidence.
Yeah.
And I want you to explain. You said one of the things you do is almost like deep breath, hold your shoulders back. Tell me about that, because the reason I'm asking as you're commenting is, sometimes body language, all this stuff can make you feel like, I have to come and be somebody I'm not. I have to be fake.
Right.
And you're saying no, but how do you build that physical confidence that when you walk in the room, whether it's 5 people or 100, and you feel,
okay. Well, let me tell you, I used to get super nervous in speaking, as I said. I knew it. I just get really nervous. And I had a speaking coach, had the benefit of a speaking coach one time, and they took me into another room, because leading up to it, I was like, all like, I'd be like, what's going on?
Yes.
And they're like, come here. And so we went into a side room, and the first thing that they did, and some of you out there may know about this, is they said, I want you to give me your best Superman pose. And I was like, what? And they're like, your best, how does Superman stand? Well, like when you see these, images of him, I said, well, he has his hands on his hips and his chest is up and out and he's looking, off into the horizon. And she said,
he's getting ready to fly off.
Yeah, he's getting ready to fly off. Yeah, he's getting ready to go. And she said, do that. I was like, what? They go, do that. So I didn't feel comfortable, but I, hands on, hips and chest up. And I looked out, and she said, and now I want you to say, I am great. I'm going to crush this. And I was like, this is weird. She says, do it. And I was like, I am great. I'm going to crush this. And she said, do it again. And she made me do it 5 times. And she said, we just did the power pose. And I said, what is that doing for me? She goes, your neurons in your head, you're building yourself up. You're getting physical presence to walk out there to be big. Now, in this situation, there was a big crowd and I had a job to do. And she's like, you're all up here. You know all this. You're prepared. Now what I want you to do is be ready to command the space. Yeah. So it was a power pose. And I do it a lot now.
I love that.
I do it a lot now.
I don't do that. I don't do the Superwoman thing.
Yeah.
But I think for me, a couple of things. I try to clear away any of the physical anxiety. Some of those we've mentioned.
Yeah.
I know how things work. I understand the technology. I know where my my space I'm in. I know what it looks like. Am I standing in front of a table? Am I?
Yeah.
What's going on? I get rid of anything that when I get started might distract me.
Yeah.
That's done. So I've got that. The other, I think, thing that I do in terms of mental confidence, I don't care who you're speaking to. If it's 10 people, if it's 200, there's going to be somebody out there that's checking their phone and is not interested.
That's right.
Do not focus on them. for me, I will find the 4 or 5 people in different parts of the room
Yeah.
that are nodding, that are interested. You can tell they're engaged.
Mm-hmm.
I will tend to focus on them because I also know I'm going to get feedback and reaction of, okay, they got that. I can pick up the pace a little.
Yeah.
And I don't get distracted of wondering, why is Mark on his phone?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
Right.
Is he not interested?
Not interested?
Is he not interested in this? I mean, this is,
and then in your head, you're like, I suck.
And then you go spiral.
Yeah.
So I just kind of don't focus on those people because there will be some in every crowd.
Yeah.
Just accept it.
Yeah. It's
sure.
also, it's where we are now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Patti, you also used to always talk to me about, making your time count.
Right. I think you talked a little bit about that. I think for me, those first 5 minutes, it's true. And we talked about first impressions.
Mm-hmm.
When you meet somebody new, got about a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Same if you're presenting. People kind of decide pretty quickly, is what you're talking about, is this going to be relevant for me? Are you going to be a good speaker? Are you going to be interesting?
Yeah.
So I think get your first 5 minutes down. Okay. And it might be a story. Yeah. It might be an example, a way you start. We know you don't take the first 5 minutes to say, hi, I'm Mark Benton, and I'm here to talk to you about do. And let me tell you about my bio and background.
Is that the way I sound?
No, it isn't. But we don't want you to sound that way. But you know what I mean?
I'm just checking.
That first 5 minutes of just, all about me and set up, and I'm going to talk, and I'm here, and thanks for having me. And, that's not the way to start a presentation. Start right in. Mm-hmm. And that first 5 minutes will determine whether they hang with you, I think. And that first impression, just like anybody you meet, it matters a lot.
And in those first 5 minutes, what I'm hearing you say is also make it about them. Like, remember,
make it
off you. It's about them. I am so excited to be here with all of you. Don't you look great?
Yes.
Listen, we're here to talk about X, Y, and Z.
That's right. Yes. And start with that kind of energy. I also think back to nerves for me. Mm-hmm. Even now, once I get that first 5 minutes under my belt, I'm rolling. Okay.
I think that's right.
And I think then you're kind of, okay, I've got it. So that matters really a lot. Yeah. Related to that, I want to say use stories and examples to give meaning to your topic in terms of making it relevant for the audience. For those of you in business, you hear storytelling all the time. That's
tell a story. Use your data to tell a story. Yeah.
Overused term. Yeah. But I do think it is a way that brings whatever you're talking about, makes it like experiential. Mm-hmm. Oh, what does the impact? What, does that really, really mean? So if no matter what you're presenting on, our sales have increased in the Western Division by 15% this year, which has been, in prior years we were, okay. All right, that might be what you're sharing. What you want to say is, let me tell you what happened in the Western Division this year. Yeah. We had a brand new approach in the way we realized we needed to really treat our clients as individuals. So we changed everything, and we started, going out with clients and checking in with them regularly. And here's what happened. In one of them, we learned, let me tell you a story about when we went out and we talked to ABC company, and those small decisions just it multiplied. And then we went over and we tried and give a few little stories, because then all of a sudden the listener is like, oh, it's not just about the numbers. That's really interesting. Not only am I interested in what you did, maybe I could duplicate that.
That's right. People love a good story.
And that's how they learn.
They do. That's how we learn right now. I mean,
that's right.
I'm thinking, you talked about a business setting. I'm thinking about parents and teachers organization, PTO, and you're like, parents and teachers. We are gathered together today because we are seeing a decline in the summer carnival that raises money for X, Y, and Z. And let me tell you about some great experiences that a couple of people have told me they've had. And then I want to extrapolate that and how we make this an experience situation for people. Maybe they'll come. So now you're grabbing people, you're giving them something to hang into, right? If you're a student and you have to present something, start with a good story.
Yes.
Trying to prep for this, I didn't know what I was going to say. And you can kind of speak to, I'm really not good at presenting. I don't like it, but here we go. right?
Yeah.
Just get in.
Relax
get
a
into
little
it.
bit.
Yeah.
I do think that, figuring what's the story, the real life example that is going to make people, I will say in some of the couple of the nonprofits that I've been involved in, man, they are masters at, we're just not here for a fundraiser. Let us have you hear from a student who this program got them through high school and got them into college. And it's because of the tutoring and the support. And that speaker, I will say, it was like all of a sudden, when I listened to her story, man, this is some great work happening here.
I'm having a quick thought.
Yeah.
You're talking about letting the situation and circumstances also do the work for you.
Maybe.
And if it's appropriate.
As a part of your presentation.
Yeah, if it's appropriate, let the situation and circumstances do the work for you.
For sure. I will say one more, the best example I've had in my entire career before we go to our last tip.
Yeah.
Is I was involved in an organization that was very focused on, they wanted more women leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And if you listen to the leaders, that they happened to be male at the top, they were genuine in what they thought. They also thought, we're making good headway, I think. They believed that. And one of the things we did to get support from the broader group for this program, we just took a video of the audience and it was almost all male. Okay, there were a few women, but it was overwhelmingly male.
Okay.
And we played that video with the words of the CEO on top of it.
Wow. That gave me chills. Just sitting here.
It was, for me, it was one of my most memorable moments. And we did that. And let me tell you, got the support, and it went on to have quite an impact on the organization. But it was we knew there was a disconnect, and we could have gotten up there all day long and talked about the data and so on.
Yeah.
This was like, how about you watch this for a couple of minutes, and then you see if you think we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's
no.
the proof. Yeah. See if you'll change.
Exactly.
The one other quick tip I'll bring up is you don't have to feel like, however much time you have, I got to keep talking. I got to fill all the space. I got to give some pause. Allow some of your points that you've planned or your stories to land. Be comfortable with pause. You don't have to fill all the air, because it also gives you an opportunity to pause, let a point land. This is when you start really getting more comfortable, right? Let the point land. And then, kind of think about that for a second while you think as the presenter for a second.
Yes.
Right? And then get back into it, So let pause be a friend.
How do you think that this is a common problem?
Yeah.
People get a little nervous and they speed it up,
Mm-hmm.
right? They want to turn it up.
Yeah.
How do you think you can mentally slow yourself down even though you are nervous? And you mentioned one where you create it, like how you would create a natural pause.
Yeah.
How do you think you can slow yourself down when you know my tendency is
to run through? Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the things you said a little bit earlier, and that's, first of all, self-awareness. No. Mm-hmm. I've presented before and I get nervous and I speed through and then I'm not effective.
Yes.
Video yourself, right? And that's not even in the situation. Mm-hmm. I've also had a friendly in the front that would sit there and give me the cue.
Yes.
Slow it down. And then because I knew my content cold and I knew the timing I had and all, I was able to just, kind of calm down and just, okay, I'm going a little too fast. Mm-hmm. Right now, I don't need that now, but when I was first starting and sometimes the stakes were high, they would give me the signal, just slow it down. You're okay. You got it. And then that was so helpful.
Yes.
So those are just some things that I've witnessed and experienced. How about you? What have you done?
Right.
Have you ever had that situation where I'm speeding through this and I'm running?
I have a lot of tendencies. That's typically not one of them, but it's very, very common. And I think also it is that prep of, back to you, just a few deep breaths before you go. To me, when I've coached people, if you know you have those tendencies, it's like driving with Jim Johnson. If he's naturally going to be going about 80, right?
Yeah.
Slow it down.
Yep.
Okay, if you know your tendency is to go a little faster, then set your own internal. It might feel mentally a little bit slow to
me,
because I'm trying to hurry and finish.
Yeah,
but that's a better pace. Before we land this and talk about our takeaways, we should talk. Is there anything else we can think of that we've covered a lot of ground between prep, mindset, prep, delivery, and I'm wondering, is there anything else we can think of that we haven't touched on that we probably should? I'm going to give one, and then I think that is know your audience really, really well. It was kind of assumed in some of our comments, but if you know your audience, it will help you creating your core message. Who are they? What do they care about?
Right.
What's on their mind? Also, the other thing that is related to this is if you are in a setting where you're going to take questions, if you know your audience really well, you can probably anticipate what some of those questions are going to be.
Yep.
And that helps you think on your feet a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I do think knowing the audience, picturing them, and what do they care about? What do they want to know?
Yeah.
That will really help you get your content together.
I think so. While you were talking, I was listening, but I was also thinking. Our cool producer today, Spider, said something not too long ago, and he said, "I hate a fake performance." Now he didn't quite say it that way, but he said, be yourself, be authentic. If you're a faker, they're gonna know.
They're gonna know it.
They're gonna know.
They are.
They're not gonna know. They're gonna know. So that's what he said, and that kind of hangs with me. Be yourself. Be who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So, I think as you could tell, we went through this and we talked about mindset.
Yep.
Prep.
Mm-hmm.
And then the actual delivery.
Yeah, delivery.
And, that I think the prep and the mindset, that's the differentiator between being pretty good and being great. So I think those things. So, and that happens before you ever get there.
Yeah.
So don't throw something together the night before, roll in and think you've got it.
Especially if it's not easy for you.
If it's not easy, don't do that to yourself.
Because all the things can go wrong.
It's like, what do I need here?
Yeah.
What is going to make it easier for me? The other thing I would say, we laughed about this. Yeah. Speaking is not a gift you are born with. Okay? Some people are naturally more outgoing, maybe more comfortable in front of a group than others. Okay, I got that. But anyone can be a really good speaker, right? It's just like baseball or golf or painting or mahjong. What the heck? Everybody's doing mahjong. What is that even about? It's stressing me out. But anyway.
I don't know.
But I'm confident.
Maybe I should learn.
I don't know. That's another day.
Are you doing, wait, are you doing mahjong?
Some people have been talking to me about it.
Are you thinking about it though?
No, I'm trying to dodge it.
No mahjong.
No, I'm trying to dodge it. But I know if I practice it, might take me a long time, I could do it. And public speaking is the same way.
Yeah.
If you practice it enough, then it gets easier. So I'd say in the spirit of practicing, go join Toastmasters. I haven't ever done it, but practice. One of my clients, she volunteered to speak at the Women's Resource Group just every month. Practice. Somebody else said, I'll facilitate the leadership meeting. Whatever you need, practice. The more you do, the more comfortable it is going to get.
I absolutely agree with that. So
that's my takeaway. What takeaway will you have, Mark? You thinking about?
I'm thinking my biggest takeaway is the little secret that I shared about the power pose. Yes.
Superman.
I am incredible.
I'm about to fly off.
I think that is a good takeaway, listeners, that how do you get yourself in the mental and the physical space to be confident and present well? That's important. It all matters. It all matters.
And I do not think this deserves to be in the top 5 fears. It whatever it is not up there with
glossophobia.
Glossophobia.
Yeah, the fear of speaking.
Skydiving or present.
Oh gosh.
Put me in front of 2,000 people. I'll do that before skydiving any day.
Put me on with the nation before I jump out of a plane.
Yes, I'm gonna address the nation.
Right, I will.
Before
my fellow Americans, I will do that.
So glad.
Do not push me out of plane.
Do not.
No. I will do it all day. My fellow Americans.
Name your speaking price.
Yes.
I'm gonna pay it. I'll do
it.
I'm not jumping out the plane. So,
oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been a good conversation.
It's been great.
A really good conversation. Listeners, we hope that, if something has been holding you back from speaking publicly, whether, it's to a few or, many, we hope that these have been some good tips and that this has been a good conversation to help you not be tired of speaking and presentations and doing that in public.
Absolutely, you can do it.
We encourage
you.
Yeah.
Just keep at it. Keep at it. Don't be afraid of it.
That's right. Well, as we close out, we always want to say that Patti and I love hearing from you.
Yes.
We love when you reach out with the funnies or with a new topic or an insight that you had on something we're talking about. So we love that. You can find us on a platform that you listen to podcasts, so Spotify or Apple. Feel free. We invite you to join the Aren't You Tired Of community on Instagram at Aren't You Tired Of _social. Follow. And if you have questions, you can also send an email to podcast at pattybjohnson.com.
Right. DM us on LinkedIn or Instagram. We're there. Just reach out. We'd love to hear from you and appreciate all the advice, suggestions, and questions we've already gotten. So thank you so much.
That's right. All right. Well, this concludes this episode. Happy presenting, happy public speaking, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Have a great week.